Hi friends, welcome to today's video. So you might have seen by now, but I'm kind of doing a little bit of a series where we're going to be going through like completed series that you can binge. And basically today we're just going to be doing a video of recommendations of fantasy series that are completed that, you know, all the books are out clearly and I've read and would recommend. And ones that I think could be potentially perfect for, you know, if you really want to dive into a fantasy world and just like let it consume your entire life for a little bit. These might be the recommendations for you. So basically how we're doing this, I did last week. You will see it is up already, a video where I was talking about completed romantasy series, and I would highly recommend checking that one out. And then we're gonna do fantasy today, and next Friday we will have completed sci-fi video like series to look at. And basically I am hoping that I can do this, say like every 6 months or so. I will have a new list of series that I have read, I have completed, and I think could be perfect to talk about. And so yeah, today we have, I don't know, 10ish, a bit under 10 series that I'm going to talk about that I have read, and ones that, yeah, I've read in their entirety. They are all out, or at least to our knowledge, all of the books are out, and that, yeah, I think could be very fun to get into. So let's just dive into this. Before we do though, if you haven't already, I would love if you would consider subscribing and let me know down below what fantasy series you have recently finished, and you know, if there's any you recommend that maybe I check out. So let's just start talking. So first I'm going to recommend a Robin Hobb series, and when you look at this, so part of the way that her books are structured is there's this one Realm of the Elderling, I can never say that right, Realm of the Elderlings series that is comprised of like 5 different series, and all of them are kind of interconnected and they take place within the same world. I'm going to talk about one of these series that I do not personally think that you need to have read anything else within this world to understand, and one that is so far to date my personal favorite / I think it stands wonderfully on its own, and that is the Live Ship Traders trilogy. So this is a series of 3 books, the trilogy, 3 books, wow, good job Kathleen, where we're basically taking place in this one part of the world where people, obviously this community is very involved with traders, but basically trading families are able to invest in developing live ship, which are basically a ship that is made out of this special type of magic, and after 3 generations of a family living on this ship and having members die within the ship and infusing their memories into the wood, this ship is able to basically become alive. It becomes like, I would kind of describe it as like an avatar, and it develops its own personality, and it's really there to kind of like this special magic that it helps them navigate the world in a different way and really like become kind of like the elite traders, because with this magical ship they're able to go to different places that a normal trading ship would not be able to. So where we start off in this trilogy, we have a family who the patriarch of this family is about to die, and when he does, he will die on the ship and it will enable this avatar to come to life, and we will then see basically this live ship come in and we follow what then happens. So as the ship gains sentience and as family politics kind of go, you know, not the way that everyone expects, the ship is left to somebody unexpected, and we see the huge fallout within the family of that, / again like them really trying to figure out how to deal with this magic and how to deal with this ship. And I think this series overall, beautiful, fantastic. The magic that is explored in this one is so ridiculously interesting. A lot of it is stuff that I have personally never thought about before, never really considered as something that, you know, could be magic. The character study, again, like this is one of these things of like Robin Hobb's books in general, they are through and through like really amazing character studies, and a lot of why people love her books is because they are so intensely focused on just really falling for these characters and following them through their lives, really. And yeah, overall I just found that the magic, the characters, the world that we were exploring, and the different politics that go on in this one, fascinating. And every single book in this series was a 5-star for me. I absolutely was obsessed, and it is one that I would 100% recommend, especially like if you're intimidated by Robin Hobb and don't really know where to start. I do think that this is a good starting point. Technically it's like the 2nd series in her recommended reading order, but I would say you don't necessarily need to follow that in some senses. There's other series that follow one main character Fitz, and you do have to follow those ones chronologically, but I think that the Live Ship Traders can very much stand on their own. And there's a lot of people who like prefer the Fitz stories or prefer like these offshoot ones. I much prefer the Live Ship Traders over anything else that she's written. So yeah, this is a fantastic series. If you like gangsters with magical powers, might I suggest Jade City by Fonda Lee. So this is a trilogy, and to date they're all completed. I do think that there maybe is short story collections coming out within this world or offshoots within this world, if I'm not mistaken, but the core trilogy is done. And in this we are basically following 2 rival families who live within this island where Jade, this one magic source, basically we'll call it magic magic sword is the commodity that basically drives this entire island. There are two main rival gangs who are constantly vying for power, and they have people who are able to use this jade, and basically the more jade you carry, the more powerful you are, and you win jade through battles, through achievements, and type of things like that. These two families, they're constantly at war, and we are primarily following one of the families, I guess the Green Bones, as they are really like going through many years of fighting, so many different family things that are happening, so many different dynamics of power and passing the mantle, all these different things that are happening within this one family, and really studying like what it means for them to be so involved in this constant war, and for them to be like constantly trying to maintain their power. So primarily we're following the Call family. They are the head of the Green Bone clan, and we are following just them as they are really I'd say really navigating like relationships with each other, their personal relationship, and just what it means for them to be so like in such positions of power, and really like not given a choice about whether or not they want to be in this family and fighting, and them just kind of coming to terms with that. This series as a whole, it spans I think like 30 years, and we follow a crazy amount of things that are happening, a crazy amount of different political factions and different fighting factions that are happening within. Very interesting. Perfect for anyone I'd say who likes those kind of gangster books, those kind of just like fighting, but just add a little bit of a magical twist, you know? So yeah, these were super fun overall. There's 3 books, and yeah, highly would recommend. The First Law world / series by Joe Abercrombie. So within this world, there is a original trilogy, 4 standalone books, and then a secondary trilogy. And honestly, I'd recommend every single one of these. I will say the standalone books were not necessarily my favorite, but the true trilogies in this book have easily become like some of my top 5 books of all time. And when we are really following a kingdom at war, a kingdom that is going through different changes and really trying to cement itself in what's going on. So we're in this world where magic used to be very prominent, but it seems to be really fading from consciousness / it is not as prevalent at all. Very few magic users, very few people who seem to really believe in the power of magic at this point. And the kingdom seems to be on the verge of a war. And we're following, so the Central Kingdom, people who are within like fringe areas within the kingdom, and all of them are constantly just fighting for land, fighting like what seems like endless and pointless battles. And we're really just following like a core group of characters who are slowly working to try and bring peace to this kingdom, but at the same time like really working towards a central plot that they don't necessarily know where it's going, you know? Like, and yeah, overall it's very hard to describe the series because it does encompass so many years, so many things that happen, but essentially it's just a kingdom at war, and really like just we're following characters who are involved in this war, and really kind of realizing how pointless this battle is, I guess, and like the fact that there is constantly fighting and potentially for no real reason. This is a dark series. It is dark, it is messed up, but it is fantastic. It really kind of delves into this idea of like magic is left, and now what is the world gonna kind of do to deal with that. So in a sense, we're kind of moving more towards an industrial revolution of this world, and a lot of people realizing that perhaps the monarchy is not there for their best interest, and perhaps the way things have always been done does not necessarily make sense for them. And it's also just, it is crazy dark. Really deals into like just a lot of bad shit happening to good people and bad people, and this idea of really just how terrible war is for everybody. And truly like some of the best books I've ever read. Like I said, like I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the standalone because they're kind of just like more stories set within the world. I think that the 2 trilogies are the primary like most interesting part of this. Especially in I'd say the second series, the Age of Madness is probably one of my, I think that one is probably on my top 5 series that I've ever read. And it just really like one that I found I deeply cared for the characters and deeply cared for everything they were going through. But at the same time, like they were terrible characters. They were dealing with terrible things, and it just really like intensely good. This is one series that I like honestly recommend over and over again because it is just truly magnificent, truly brilliant. Like I cannot explain how fantastic this series is. This is not book 1, but this is the Atlas. What's the name of the series? The Atlas series. Anyways, book 1 is the Atlas 6. My friend has my first copy in the series, so we're just gonna hold this one up. But this is a trilogy. I will say the caveat of the first book was fantastic. I gave the first book 5 stars. Second book a little worse. Third book was terrible. So it is one that I will put that caveat in of perhaps you may not want to actually binge the series. Perhaps you might want to end at book 1. But if you do wish to continue, the options are there. This is a dark academia where we are following a secret, I would say almost like secret society of magic users who are indoctrinated / brought into this Alexandrian society where every few years, I think it's 2 years, 6 magicians who show the most potential across the world are brought into this society with basically the idea that they are now basically have unlimited access to be able to do research, training, whatever they want. They are like the most brilliant minds of their world and the people who have truly the most promise in developing new magical ideas, I guess. But they get into this society and they very quickly realize that while they are there truly to learn, to investigate, to revolutionize a lot of the things that are happening within this magical world, they also are being told a lot of lies and there's a lot of secret. And even though there are 6 of them, in order for them to survive, 1 member of the 6 has to die by the end of their first year. Really, really good. I think that this is one that like, it takes a scientific approach to the magic, which is something that I find really, really interesting. Like I found it was very incredibly smartly written and really, really interesting to read. But like I said, the primary stuff of interest happens in book 1. Books 2 and 3, we are following this one plot point that kind of ends, the first book ends on a bit of a cliffhanger and we follow that. But at the same time, they are not as good. So I will recommend book 1 if you're interested, potentially carry on. But just know that maybe you'd be a little bit disappointed in the others. The City of Brass series by S.A. Chakraborty. In the book 1, we're in the 18th century in Cairo and we're following Nari, who is a talented orphan. She uses like palm reading, sleight of hands, and all these things to kind of like make her way within the city. And when she is performing this, like, it's a fake exorcism, she's basically trying to calm this family. She accidentally summons a jinn warrior named Dara. And because she summons a jinn, they are quickly attacked by different monsters within this world and then realize they have to travel to the jinn world and for her safety and to bring him back to his people. And then from there, so they travel back to the jinn world and she is very, very quickly pulled into a huge political battle / power structure of these creatures, these beings known as devas, who are jinn-like creatures, I would say. And she is very, very quickly pulled into their power struggles and the political maneuvering within this city and discovers that her heritage is perhaps she's not fully human. I thought this series very, very fun, very interesting. Another one that has like a crazy amount of like political maneuvering, which is something I love. I really, really love something that has a lot of different political factions that are fighting within a world. It had like really fantastic world building too, and following like a lot of Middle Eastern history, a lot of Middle Eastern mythologies and stuff, which we don't see as often in fantasy worlds. So for that alone, it was very, very interesting just to see all of these different things that, like, you know, not necessarily what we see in many fantasy books because they do tend to be very Eurocentric. And yet Narya herself, very interesting character to follow. She was a con artist, and you know, I love a good morally gray character. And yeah, overall, so yeah, definitely would recommend looking at this series. They're pretty long too, so that's always good. The 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and I believe this series is called the Broken Earth Saga trilogy. Basically, by the way, N.K. Jemisin, one of my all-time favorite authors. I will pick up literally everything she puts out. I have yet to be disappointed. And this one is a post-apocalyptic fantasy of a world that basically, I don't know if there's a certain amount of time, but it is a world that is known for going through like crazy endings / crazy like apocalypses. And we're following 3 main characters as they kind of like deal with what this means, I guess. So we're following 3 different timelines. The primary one is a woman named Essen. She lives an ordinary life within this small town. She comes home to find that her husband has brutally murdered her son and kidnapped their daughter. At the same time while this is happening, the empire that rules this world has basically been destroyed. So, and basically at the same time that this is happening, the empire that rules this world is basically being killed off, very, very suddenly and dramatically being killed off. And an apocalypse is starting to happen where, what is it called? A red rift has torn into the heart of the earth, spewing ash enough to darken the sky for years or centuries. So all of this is happening at the exact same time that her family is killed, basically. So now she is on this mission to follow her husband through like wherever he's going with her daughter to try and find her and bring her back home. But while she is doing this, so because all of the ash is in the sky, there is no sunlight, the people are very, very quickly dying off. There is suddenly going to be no more food or access to water, all of these things, everything that is happening within an apocalypse and war is starting to break out because, again, this empire is crumbling. The environment is going to shit. And she's a character, she does not care if the world falls apart. All she wants is to find her daughter. And we are also following two other perspectives in this one, I do believe. Another one is a young girl who's studying within this magical institute where basically we learn that magic users are kind of involved in maintaining the power within the earth. And another one is a young girl who is being sent to this magical school to learn about her powers as well. Really crazy interesting. It is a wild series, truly insane. Like if you've read anything by N.K. Jemisin, I think you kind of know the general premise of how off the walls some of her books can get. Very, very crazy, very amazing, truly like just some of the best written fantasy I've ever read. One that now I'm thinking about it, I think I need to reread because I think it's been about 8 years since I read this one, and just very like unique magic system. I love this idea of a magical world undergoing an apocalypse. Usually we see more dystopian / sci-fi worlds, so it's not as often that it has this magical world. The characters were unbelievably good in this one, and yeah, just like so many things that I absolutely love. Really want to revisit it because I do remember just blowing my mind, and easily one of the best fantasy books I've ever read. I want to reread it. I definitely want to get to it again. So you know, this is worth it. More of a YA series, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This is basically a world where there's a ruling class of people and then more of a slave / servant class, and we're following somebody from within both of these classes. So we're following basically, I don't want to call her a slave because I don't know if she was actually a slave, but a girl within the servant class who her family is killed, and when they're all killed, she runs away into the sewers that are close to her house and ends up coming in contact with this rebel group. She finds out that her brother is in fact alive and being held prisoner, and this rebel group agrees to help her rescue her brother, but on the condition that she works as a spy for them and goes into this elite military academy and spies on the commander. Then our other perspective we are following is a student within the military academy. He is on the verge of graduating, but he because he wasn't raised within this empire, he has never fully agreed with the teachings that they push onto them, and at the same time he also really sees how terribly citizens are treated and doesn't necessarily want to continue to push this. And he happens to be the son of the commander that our other main character is there to spy upon, and we're following them kind of as he is trying to find his way within the school. He wants to escape, but also is being forced to go through these trials that basically determine who the next emperor is going to be. So he's forced to go through these trials, but at the same time is really deeply trying to find a way out and a way to potentially escape. And our other main character, she is trying to spy on this commander, not get killed, not get abused terribly within this castle, and find a way to save her brother. That is basically where the book starts off, and from there we go on I would say a huge journey that ends with them trying to take down this completely corrupt empire. There's 4 books in this one. I will say I enjoyed the first one the best. The rest of the series went downhill for me, but I think I am in the minority for that. I think a lot of people tend to really enjoy it because you get more invested in the characters and you start to see more of the world and the magic as a whole, which for me just wasn't as interesting, but I know a lot of people tend to really enjoy that. And this is one as well where the author had started to write a new series within this world. So it's basically I would say companion / sequel series that is coming out at the moment. So again, if you read this and get really invested, there's more things coming. Not necessarily my favorite series. I loved it when I read it when I was younger. I read it again a few months ago and didn't hit the same way, but again, like YA doesn't necessarily work for me. It might for you. It might be something that you tend to really enjoy. It just wasn't for me. And just the last book / series we're gonna talk about is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I think that this series is called The School of Man. So it's a trilogy, and this is like the darkest dark academia kind of. In this world, we are following a magical school where all magic users, as I don't know what age they're sent, I think like 11 to 17 they're sent there, and basically teenage / child magic users have the most potent magic, and demons want to eat this magic. They want to kill them. They want to eat them and absorb their magic. So when kids are sent to this school, because there is such a large concentration of children, they are basically constantly attacked by demons. They are sent in this school, they have no protectors, and the goal is kind of like, it kind of seems like they just want to weed out the weak. And if you manage to survive to graduation, congratulations, you have lived. You likely will spend the rest of your days living in relative peace. If you die, sorry, too bad for you. And we're following a main character who, she has a really potent type of magic, but it is primarily for, I would say, like catastrophes. So she, how she describes it, she she's the most dangerous thing in the place. Just give me a chance and I'll level mountains and kill untold millions, make myself the Dark Queen of the world. So her magic, it tends to go towards like what is the most catastrophic thing that can happen, and I will unleash it upon the world. So she cannot really use her own magic to defend herself in this world. And then when the basically golden boy of the school, who is all he wants to do is kill monsters, he just wants to, you know, save the world. When he saves her, he kind of decides that he is going to, you know, keep protecting her for the rest of the school year, and she does not want this at all, and ends up turning into an unlikely friendship slash romance between the two of them. And we follow them as they are trying to survive in this school, and they're trying to kind of realize and learn like why the school system was set up, I guess, slash why the world is set up in the way that it is. I think that this is a very unique dark academia in that sense, where it is very, very dark in the sense that students are just really just left to fend for themselves and die. Interesting magic system, interesting school system in general, and really, really interesting. The world building is fantastic. Magic is fantastic. Our main character is incredibly hostile and sarcastic, which is something I love. And she's so reluctant to make any friends slash pushes away every single person who's around her. Overall, great, great. Love this series in general. So there we go. Also ended on a crazy cliffhanger, I remember, which was super fun. So there we have it. Those are a few, not quite 10-ish fantasy series that I would recommend binging that are completed. I've like, if you are looking for a series to binge. I feel like some of this was rambling, some of this did not make sense, but thanks for watching anyways. Maybe at some point I can speak a bit more concisely. Who knows? Not my strong suit. So again, thanks for watching today's video. If you haven't already, I would love if you consider subscribing. Again, please let me know down below, what fantasy series have you recently read? Because I am always looking for recommendations, slash even just let me know if you've read like a standalone book or something. I don't know. I want book recommendations. Please send them my way. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in a video soon. Bye.